Requirements to go for a walk. Have working legs. Wheelchairs are allowed. They don't discriminate. We all taste the same to them. Calculate distance from Earth to the Sun. Otherwise, you cannot step into the woods. You will be questioned about it. Wear the most expensive pair of shoes you have. They have to approve your drip.
Wait a minute!
Perfection.
If you hear screams, go towards them. It's probably a skinwalker trying to figure out the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
7.
Ay, ma, pero no me hagas así, ¿ok?
Pues es que no le apuras, estás jugando.
Es que yo estoy viendo ahí que está el papel. Yo estoy viendo lo blanco. Lo estoy viendo lo
Ok, ya.
blanco.
Everyone has heard of meditation. Everybody knows how to meditate. You sit on the ground and you close your eyes and try to think of nothing for a designated amount of time. Maybe you focus on your breath. You breathe in and you breathe out. And you breathe in.
To me, that's kind of fucking boring. So I found a better method. That's to fucking walk. You see, I'm walking here. I'm walking here. Up your ass, you son of a bitch! You see, I happen to be a loud thinker. I need to think my thoughts out loud in order for them to make sense to me. Most people I identify as quiet thinkers because the way they just think about stuff is quiet. You know, they don't think it out loud. They don't voice what they're thinking. And that's, you know, it's good to have a filter because, you know, you might end up saying a bunch of shit that you don't mean. So yeah, dude, most of the things you say here, if you are caught saying that shit in public, you might end up in the FBI's most wanted, so watch out, man. Remember, James, if you talk to the fucking feds, I'll cut you in half, you motherfucker. Don't talk shit about me, okay?
As many of you know, literally nobody knows, I have 2 dogs who I have to walk every day, otherwise they will shit themselves. Yes, it has happened before.
So yeah, because I had to walk these little creatures almost every day for like twice every day for like years on end, I've developed this habit, and it's kind of something I always like to do, you know? Come out here, maybe not out here obviously, just go outside and go for a walk. But I've also developed the habit of talking to myself, so if I'm in a city and I have to go for a walk, it's a bit it's a bit awkward because I'm walking there, and if no one's around, I'll just start talking to myself, and I look like a fucking crazy motherfucker.
Nah, you're tweaking.
So yeah, like the habit of just walking does something to you. That's a pretty healthy habit to have. And then talking to yourself is even better because you end up voicing a lot of things you've never talked about it with yourself. And the point is really to just do it without any distractions. Right now I'm sort of breaking a rule by recording outside. But my general rule of thumb is to not have anything to distract me with. Oh, is that a duck? Oh! Get him! Get him! That was pretty cool. There's a lot of benefit of talking to yourself because you, without realizing, you have a lot of shit pent up, and you know, a lot of emotion, a lot of thoughts that you just haven't voiced to anyone. And if you have no one, if you're literally all by yourself, kind of like most people are, then this is going to be rather important for you. It's quite important for your mental health to at least, you know, talk to yourself. Ah! Get him. Most people would call this a simple walk and acting like a crazy person, but I think this is a form of meditation. It's a more active form of it, at least. I mean, every meditation is active, I'm aware of that, but this has the whole aspect of, you know, walking outside, you know, step by step, and actually moving your fucking mouth. So this form of meditation, I sort of focus on making my thoughts be streamlined. So typically you'd have a question in mind. So like, why the fuck am I so angry? Or why am I acting like this? Why am I being an asshole to my sister? Why am I, you know, moody and stuff? And you'd have like you'd have these questions like in the chamber and ready to just fire them at any point. And it's pretty easy to answer them, to be honest. Like, you might think like, oh, I'm gonna have these existential questions and I'm not gonna be able to answer them. Bullshit. You'll be able to answer them just all right. If 15-year-old me could figure this out, you can figure it out as well, man. And you might be questioning how critically you can think about certain things, and to be honest, you can actually be quite critical of yourself while having these walks. Most of us think that in order to think, you have to sit down and look at a piece of paper or look at a fucking question that's written on a fucking paper and be like, why am I so mad? And then you go through all your fucking history and you're like, oh, well, I'm mad because at 6 years old I didn't get a lollipop. No, that's not it. Like, in here it's more of a, you know, I'm moody because maybe my dad said something to me at breakfast and that fucking triggered me. It's like, okay, that's okay, but why did that trigger me? What did he say? And stuff like that, which is more fun to do. You know, you're sort of like detective, and you actually start asking a lot of critical questions, like, or you start seeing stuff more critically, and you're like, well, that's just a pussy move, dude. Like, really? His comment on, I don't know, fucking what I was wearing today made me fucking angry. Really? That's what's gonna get me angry? And you sort of start being tough on yourself. Hey, oi, oi, oi. Yeah, oh, she just ate shit, dude. Yo, dude, what's your problem? Oh. Oh. Hey. Ah. Hello. But you can tell how this fucking thing is much more fun to do. You know, normally I wouldn't have a camera with me, but but I would have missed out on this. I wouldn't have recorded that. So it's much more fun. You're actually out here in nature, breathing some air, having some sun. Hey, buddy. And you encounter people. You never talk to them, really. You just sort of like do that nod and like that face of like, I'm harmless. And then you just keep talking to yourself. If you're a real alpha, you just keep talking to yourself and ignore them. Just fucking ignore that they're there and you just keep talking to yourself. But yeah, this form of meditation is much more fun. You end up uncovering a lot of stuff on yourself. And don't think that you're gonna get the same results from just sitting down and trying to do this meditative work on the floor, on your house, you know, sitting down and breathing, because you'd be making a mistake and confusing these two forms of meditation, or like the normal one where you just do meditation where you just breathe and you're, I don't know, the typical meditation we all know where you're sitting down and you just breathe and you try to focus on one thing is more focused, well, on, you know, on focus. It's focused on being focused on your breath, whereas this being more focused on where your brain goes with the certain thoughts you have, and just allowing yourself to think about certain things. I don't know, like most of the time you're like, why the fuck am I thinking about that? And it's generally because of something, you know, like there's certain reasons behind your thoughts, and it's quite funny to uncover why you think certain things. Oh, big poo-poo. So don't think that you're gonna get the same results from this type of meditation than from the typical meditation that everyone talks about. He likes to do that. We're not walking backwards here. Anyways, this type of meditation is how I essentially solved a lot of my problems back in high school. What the fuck? So yeah, back in high school, this was essentially how I would solve all of my problems. They had to do either, you know, if it had to do with school, then I would probably be thinking about a certain problem I had encountered that I couldn't solve. But usually it had to do with people or like relationships I had with whomever. It's like another fucking car, god damn it. So yeah, that's essentially how I solve all of my problems, not only back then but now. It's essentially just going for a walk and thinking things through. It's quite fun to do so. You'll be amazed how much you can think about. Now, if you're in public, you might think, well, how the fuck can I do this? I mean public, if you're in a city, unlike me where I'm literally in a fucking with fields, it's like, well, you just have to put on earplugs, not earplugs, you know, AirPods or, you know, just earphones, and act like you're on a phone call, and that essentially solves the problem. That way people think you're on a call and they won't think like you're a fucking crazy person. Now there's only one rule to this little meditative type of thing, And it's to not be distracted by anything. Oh, big poo-poo. Big dookie. Well, nothing that's like, artificial shit like phones and stuff. So, no music, not watching videos, no podcasts. It's a waste of time. Why listen to other people when you can listen to yourself? So yeah, don't distract yourself. Because I used to do that. I used to go for walks when I was much younger, and I would listen to music, and I would try to fucking just distract myself from the amount of, I suppose, pain I was in, because it was the first year I'd moved here, so it was a bit, hard to make friends, and it was a bit lonely. And I would have been able to solve all of those problems if I had just allowed myself to think things through without any distractions of music. That's essentially it. Now, you can also, if you say, you know what, I'm kind of spitting gold out here, man. I'm spitting fire on these fucking walks. And I'm just talking about really cool stuff. Well, I suggest you record those things with your phone, with your audio recorder on your phone. Now, the one thing I do have to tell you about that is that it might fuck your train of thought, because usually when you don't have a phone with you and you're just walking by yourself, like literally you left your phone at home, let's say, you actually think differently than when you have your phone with you, and you also think differently when you have your phone with you but you're recording. If you're not recording, you can say certain things, but when you're recording, you say stuff that's a bit different. You don't actually say all the things you want to say. Just have to watch out for that, because it's happened to me where I have like a cool thought and I think, oh, I should record this, and the act of like clicking the record button fucks me up, and it's just like, oh fuck, now I'll have like this pressure on me to make the idea like liquid gold. And that's usually not how it happens. Usually every question that you ask might not have an answer, but the way you say certain stuff will lead you to the answer. So essentially these walks are more of a building block, I guess, or a fucking, not be me, it's more like a lead from like an investigation. You're sort of saying like one thing, and then you're building on that, and this sort of builds the foundation of the idea. And then once you're back at home, you can actually refine the idea, because most of the times you start talking about stuff, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. And then you get back home and you're like, oh, it makes a bit of sense, but you have to say it like this, and I'm actually trying to say this. Another flip. So yeah, that's about as much as I'm going to say on this walk, because I'm starting to get tired from talking to the camera. So say goodbye. Goodbye. So with that, I take my leave. Thanks for watching, and good night, even though it's the middle of the fucking day. Goodbye.